In this video, I am going to tell you a few stories that hopefully drive home the idea that you should not wait, and in fact, you should do it now. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever you want to build, you need to do it now. Few different stories that we're going to cover here. First is a story about my family, because when my wife was pregnant, I was in the middle of building Catching Made Simple. And as I was ramping up Catching Made Simple, I was right in that beginning stage where it was like, oh, this isn't working as much as I want it to. I'm putting in a ton of time. Is it worth the extra effort? We're about to have a baby. Maybe I'll just wait until after the baby and then I can focus on it a little bit more. I could be a little bit more present. And I talked with a coach that I ended up paying. He offered me $5,000 for his coaching program, and I couldn't afford that at that point, but I knew that he could help me. And so I was like, I want to work with you, but I can't do that. Like, I just don't have that amount of money. And so he was like, all right, how about this? How about we do $1,000 a month and then 20% of revenue for the next 3 months? And I was like, oh, sick. That sounds amazing. Well, sure enough, I paid him way more than $5,000. I think I paid him like $6,000 or $7,000. And so oftentimes if you can pay up front, you'll save money. But one of the things that he told me that for sure helped me so much, I'm so grateful, is he was like, dude, you have way more time than you think. This was my first baby and I didn't really know, but he was like, you have way more time than you think. When they are a newborn, they just sleep. And he was totally right. And I'm so thankful that I pushed through in that season when I could have been like, I don't know what I want to do, because if I had not done that and pushed, there's no chance I would have been where I was later on. It just would have taken longer. As I worked with him, the goal that we had set was to get to $10,000 a month. I wasn't even close to it. I think I was like $5,000 a month or something like that at the end of working with him. But he helped me a lot. And crazy thing about it is that probably the thing that helped me even more than the information was, one, I had access to him, and he just helped me. Like when I would run into the roadblocks, I would shoot him a text or whatever, and he would help me work through it. And then the other thing that helped me a lot, and this is crazy to say, but because I had paid him, I believed that I was doing all the right things to be successful. Like a lot of the things that he was telling me to do, I already knew how to do. And I've experienced this multiple times, but it's like, as I've paid people, I'm like, yes, I know that this is the right thing. It's now been confirmed. I thought this was the right thing. It's now been confirmed. And like, I have all the resources that I need in order to go be successful. So when we come back to this theme of like, don't wait, do it now. One, didn't technically have the money to pay him, but I decided to do it anyways. Didn't technically have the time because I was about to have a baby, but I did it anyways. And looking back, I am so grateful, because there's no chance I would have grown to where I am now if I hadn't pushed as hard in that season. The second story is another phrase that is, inspiration has an expiration. And the idea behind this is, if something is hot, if you are feeling inspired, you need to move on it and get it out. If you don't, it will expire, it will go bad, and it will die. Now, the other side to this is that if something is a good idea now, it's going to be a good idea in 3 months. And so don't throw away your whole strategic plan right now for some new idea that came up. Execute your plan, and if in 3 months it's still a good idea, then you can still go execute it. Now, I agree with that. And at the same time, that's like on a bigger strategic level. If there is something like this, and I can think of a number of moments in my life that when I have been inspired, I've done something, and then it fundamentally changed my life. One of the biggest examples that I can think of is when I was working my sales job at Cintas. I was reading a bunch of content, listening to a bunch of content on sales and marketing, and I combined these 3 sales marketing frameworks together, and I made this presentation called The Future of Sales. And in there, one of the books that I talked about was a book called They Ask You Answer. So anyways, I made this thing. I was super inspired. I just pushed through. It was like during winter break. I have intermittent viral induced asthma. So whenever I get a virus infection, I have this lingering cough. So I make this video and I push my way through. I'm just coughing through the whole thing, but I was inspired. So I just made it. And then I sent it to my buddy. He looked at it. He was like, hey, super cool. I was like, oh man, I thought that this thing was more than cool, but okay, whatever. I guess it wasn't as cool as I thought. So then about a month later, I send it to my mentor before we meet up for a cup of coffee. And while I have it copied in my phone, I send it to the author on LinkedIn. He responded right away, said, wow, this impressed the heck out of me. Why aren't you working for me? And I worked there for 2 years and got personally trained by him on communication and developed so many valuable skills. I look back on that and I think to myself, if I had not made that piece of content and if I had not sent him that message, my life would look very, very different. So when you get inspired by something, take the action. Take it. You gotta take it. You have to move on it because there's a reason that it's inspiring you and you need to get it out before it goes bad. The third story that I want to share about this is a story of you never know what's going to happen to your job. I was actually laid off at my last job. I was kind of in the middle of two roles. I was on a fulfillment and delivery side where I was working with sales teams on their communication and training. And then I was actually selling as well. And my time in terms of capacity was probably 130% between the two roles. And I was kind of struggling at both of them. I was slow getting back to leads because I was on customer calls, and I wasn't as quick getting back to customer calls because I was trying to do my sales follow-up and outreach and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, it was just not a great situation. And so they ultimately let me go. And they had let go of a bunch of people up to that point previously as well. When that happened, the next month, my income tripled. It tripled with a T. But if I had not been building Catching Made Simple up to that point, man, that would have been a very, very stressful situation. But because I had not waited and did it before, I had the foundation and infrastructure to be able to have that jump effect when now all of a sudden I had 40, 50 hours a week back into building my own business. If I didn't have that infrastructure of the existing business and the existing content and the existing platform, the existing customers, the existing testimonials, then I would have been starting from zero, and it takes time to build from zero. So that's another example of why I really believe you should not wait. You should do it now. You truly never know what's going to happen with your job. I actually think that my job is more stable than most other people's, and a lot of people might not think that because you think that a more stable job is working a traditional job, but you have AI coming. So if you're in a traditional role or a standard role where you're pushing papers or something like that, like AI could automate, if not replace, that whole job. But what I'm doing and the skills that I've learned feel way more stable. And I'm so confident now that I can walk into a business and assess where they're at and be able to do things on the content and marketing side and the sales side that are going to help that business grow. I now have the skills. I'm so confident, and it's given me so much more security, so much more confidence, because I know that I'm always going to take care of my family now, because now I know what to do. I can go into virtually any business and assess what we're working on and figure out how to add content that creates more customers, and then add content into the sales process that creates better educated customers that lead to faster sales cycles, that lead to higher closing rates, and ultimately higher satisfied customers as well. Again, another example of why I just really think when I look back at my life, the faster I have done things, the better it has gone. Now, another caveat to that as well. I mentioned the other side of, well, if you're inspired, you shouldn't drop everything and completely change directions and drop what you have and do something else. Sometimes that may be good. But one of the things that another one of my mentors has told me is make small bets, because a lot of times what I struggled with, especially early on, is I would go one way, then another way, and I would have these kind of impulses and I would jump one way and the other way, but not actually see anything through far enough to make it work. So one of the things that he told me all the time is, hey, if it's a good idea now, it's still going to be a good idea in 3 months. You can wait, execute on the thing that you said that you're going to execute on. So that's been a helpful framework, especially when it comes to if you are a little bit impulsive, that can keep your impulsivity, keep the inspiration of it. You can get it out of your head, but then you can put it on the back burner because it might not be actually the thing that you need to work on. And one of the biggest things that's going to stop you from getting to where you want to go is by not working on the right things. That's why having someone who has run the path before you can help you so much, because they will stop you from working on the wrong things and get you working on the right things. And when you work on the right things in the right order and you get feedback, it's impossible to do anything but grow. For my fourth story to try to convince you to not wait and do it now is a story that I got from the people that run Y Combinator. If you don't know who Y Combinator is, basically it's like a startup accelerator, but a bunch of businesses apply to work with Y Combinator, especially tech startups. It's really big in the tech startup world. So like Airbnb, Uber, Stripe, I think those companies, I could be wrong, but a lot of those companies all work with Y Combinator. What Y Combinator does is it takes them through a cohort. Again, I may have a few details wrong, but it takes them through a cohort and educates them and then gives them resources, gives them funding, connects them to their network. And one of the things that they really emphasize and that they say the goal of the company should be is that you should be the company with the fastest and tightest feedback loops. What that means is that you go talk to a customer, you build the product, then you put it in front of another customer. And the faster you can do that, the quicker you're going to build the right product for the right problem for the right person. And when you get that, that's when you can go big. But at the beginning, it's about finding the right product or finding product market fit. A lot of people don't like that term because some people think that you are creating product market fit. You don't find it. You instead create it because you find the problem, then you build the product that solves that problem. So kind of some different philosophies on that. But one of the things that they say is the goal should be to be the fastest feedback loop company that exists. Because if you could do 3 of those in a day, talk to a customer, build the thing, put it in front of another customer. If you could do 3 of those in a day, when it takes another person to do that once a month, there's one of those circles a month, like you will just outpace everyone. It doesn't matter where you start and where they are, you will get better faster than everyone else. And then as your product hits, then it's about the marketing and scaling delivery and fulfillment and all that kind of stuff. So all that being said, those are 4 stories that hopefully inspire you to not wait and instead to do it now. Because in my experience, that has been one of the things that has led to much of my success. And that has been one of the things that when I look around at other people is one of the qualities and characteristics of them. They just don't wait. They just get it done, even if it's not perfect. But when it's hot, when they're inspired, they go get it out of them. They go do it, whether it's writing songs, creating videos, or building businesses, or creating offers, launching a new offer. The most successful people that I know, when they are inspired, they kind of clear the plates and they go on the thing. And the best people have the ability to stay focused on their current priorities and have time or separate time where they have that time where they can go and be inspired and work on things without neglecting all of the stuff and completely changing the strategic direction and making it very hard to compound all your work because you need to compound by going in the right direction. So all that being said, whatever it is right now that you are working on, don't wait, do it now. I'm Anj Bourgeois. Let's win together. Check out this video right over here.